What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Westerogo, and I'm back with another YouTube video. Now today I'm going to be previewing the playoffs in the Eastern Conference for you guys, and also giving my predictions for teams 1 through 8. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the current standings in the East right now are Boston, 1st seed, Cleveland, 2nd seed, Toronto, 3rd seed, Washington, 4th seed, Milwaukee, 5th seed, Atlanta, 6th, Chicago, 7th, Miami, 8th, and Indiana trying to sneak in with number 9. Now, it's 10 games left in the NBA season, so all this stuff is subject to change. But the only thing I really predict or think I could see happening is Cleveland taking back that number 1 seed. Boston's looking pretty good right now, so I don't know if Cleveland's going to be able to do that, though. So that brings me to my first team, Boston. Boston's looking really good right now. If you ask me who's the best team in the East, who's looking the best right now, I'd probably have to go with Boston over Cleveland, because Cleveland's not looking too good right now. It's looking pretty ass. But I will get back to that later. But Boston is headed by its point guard, Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Marcus Smart, all those guys. They're working together to bring them, their first conference championship appearance since, that 2008 team did it and brought home the chip as well. Now, Boston, they have really good teamwork. They have really great defense. Their strength is probably their guard play with Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier, and last but not least, Isaiah Thomas. Everybody loves him. And so also their defense is one of their strengths. Al Horford protecting the paint down there. Drake Crowder on the wings. Avery Bradley, of course, first team all defense. For the last couple of years, they haven't been able to get out of the East second round, and be able to face and challenge Cleveland for that, that spot to represent East in the finals. But today, that might be their year, man. They're playing really good. They snatched the first seed from Cleveland. That was pretty sly of them, so that home court advantage is going to be huge if they end up matching up in, the conference finals if they make it that far. Now, for all the strengths Boston have, they have kind of tiny bit of weaknesses as well that Cleveland or any other team for that matter could exploit. So first off, Al Horford, he's a great player, like I said, good defensive presence. But he's not a star. Nobody on that roster is really a star. Now, you could argue Isaiah Thomas, he's a star, but he's not gonna, he'll carry you for a little bit. He's not a superstar. He's not a definite superstar like LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, DeMar DeRozan, those players. Now, he's super clutch, I'll give him that. Like, I'm not hating on him. He's a great player. But nobody on that roster is a definitive, de facto superstar. That's one of the weaknesses they have. Now, another would probably be just their availability with the roster. Now, all the time, throughout this whole season, all the teams have been bitten by the injury bug, called Warriors, Cleveland, and definitely Boston. Sometimes their guards don't play, and it's hard for them. But they have that good chemistry, so when they're all there, they play all right. But some of their guards, they might get hurt. Injuries hurt them last year with Avery Bradley. But Terry Rozier did a good job to fill in with them versus the Hawks, but they couldn't get out the second round, though. But it's still good. They're a great team. They probably will find a way to power through in the first and second rounds. But if they match up with Cleveland in the conference final, that's going to be difficult if they're without one of their best wing defenders in Avery Bradley, Drake Crowder, Marcus Smart, and all that. So the Celtics, they have a great chance to come out the East. But if they don't have all their pieces there, and if they don't have like a superstar level performance from one of their top paid players, then they're not going to be able to beat Cavaliers in a 7-game series. So that brings me to my number 2 team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, might I say, my personal favorite team in the league right now. LeBron James having another MVP caliber season, but Westbrook and Harden looking like they're about to be the two to get it. Westbrook, he's having a triple-double. James Harden, almost a triple-double. But anyways, even with LeBron James MVP level play every day, every night in, every night out, they're still finding themselves second in the East right now. They got the seed snatched away from them a couple games ago. They lost to a bunch of teams that they're better than recently, and they're looking pretty weak on the defensive side. Now, as far as strengths go, they have a good trio in LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. They have great spot-up shooters and other playmakers like Darren Williams and that all around them. Now, in terms of their weaknesses, like I just said, defense is a big one. They don't have any, interior presence on defense. Teams are just living in the paint versus them. Like recently, if you just check the stats, they've allowed over 30 points per game in the paint. And that just can't be done if you're trying to repeat, You see right here, they're like 22nd in defensive efficiency. You can't do that if you're trying to repeat for a championship. Now, if they manage to figure out their defensive, woes and their problems, then they're definitely right back in there as my pick to go to the finals and my pick to win it all. Because, the Warriors, they're a great team, but they're going to be hard. It's going to be hard to stop Cleveland and LeBron in the finals for a second straight year, especially with Kevin Durant being rusty coming back from his injury and LeBron being at full peak, full strength. My prediction for the Cavaliers is probably go to the finals and probably win it all in 6 games versus either the Spurs or the Warriors. So that brings me to my third team, the team I see every year, every night, getting good numbers, getting good records, good stats, but never manages to do anything in the playoffs. The Toronto Raptors. Now, Toronto, they're a great team in the regular season, but for some reason, they just do not perform well in the playoffs. Last year was probably it was the first time that they made it out of the first round with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry in their backcourt. Now, it's not even about the Raptors as a team. It's mostly the discrepancies in the offensive games between Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs. If you look at their stats in the regular season and their stats in the playoffs, there are huge drop-offs in production and productivity. They made some great moves at the trade deadline to get some players to help them build around DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, to be able to beat LeBron and to beat the Celtics and challenge them for that spot in the East. Now, sadly, I don't think that's about to happen. Kyle Lowry, he's injured right now, leaving DeMar DeRozan to carry most of the load on offense. Now, I don't think DeMar DeRozan is going to get tired or anytime soon, but when Kyle Lowry comes back, which will likely be during the middle of the first round, beginning of the second round, depending how long it takes, he might be a bit rusty and not up to form. The injury he has, it's definitely going to hamper his shooting a little bit. It will not be easy to just integrate himself back into the offense for the playoffs. And you're going to need to be at your peak condition if you're going to face the Celtics or you're going to face the Wizards or the Cavs in the playoffs. Now, in terms of strength, they have great wings, great guard play in terms of DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, like I said. And they got the trade deadline trade for Serge Ibaka, which gave them some great paint protection and also a bit of offensive game on the outside. Now, for weaknesses, just playing. Just performance in the playoffs. They might be getting inside their own head in the playoffs, which doesn't allow them to perform as well as they would in the regular season. But that's up to them. If they can overcome that, that basketball writer's block, they're definitely going to be able to challenge the Cavs and the Celtics in the East. And that brings me to my fourth team, the Wizards. The Wizards definitely came out of nowhere. After being around the bottom of the barrel in the East last year, they've exploded to around the top of the East this year. They were in contention for that first seed for a little bit, but now they've dropped to fourth. But they're still hot though. They're led by their guard play of John Wall and Bradley Beal, and also some great supporting pieces in Otto Porter, Marcin Gortat, and Kelly Oubre Jr. Now, they also made some great plays at the trade deadline. They were able to pick up Brandon Jennings, Boban, both add great depth and great offense off the bench. And that's helpful for any team. Any team could use depth. I know that for sure. John Wall's having a great year. He's averaging 23 points, 4 rebounds, 11 assists, and that's just a great year from him, after last year. Now, I wouldn't say he fell off a bit, but he wasn't as effective as he was this year. Then you have Bradley Beal, proving he's worth that big contract, putting up 23 points, 3 rebounds, 3.5 assists. That's great for a guy who's injured a lot. For him to actually stay healthy for a whole year and show what he can do is actually pretty impressive. Now, in terms of strengths for the Washington Wizards, they have great guard play, great interior play, supporting piece. They have good depth as well. They're not short on offense at all. They have great wing play as well. And also in terms of weaknesses, I just have to say, just playoff inexperience. And I'm not going to say inexperience like they've never been, but inexperience as that big stage, how well can they perform under the pressure of the conference finals, or, just game 7s and all that. And, at number 5, you have the Milwaukee Bucks, led by the Greek freak Giannis, put up some crazy monster numbers, putting up 23 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks per game. That's incredible for somebody to do. Now, the Greek Freak, he's pretty much carrying the Bucks right now. He has, not that much help outside of maybe Malcolm Brogdon, pretty much, trying to put up some stellar numbers, trying to carry them to maybe the second round in the playoffs, but if Giannis can be able to go into crazy superstar mode in the playoffs and just show he's worth, or has at least, and show he has superstar caliber talent, then he definitely will go down as one of my favorite players, possibly MVP for the next season. And just, if he does that, they'll put the league on notice, showing them what he can do and what the Bucks might be able to do in the next couple of years. But my prediction for them is probably to, lose in the first or second round. It's one of the top seeds. That's not a slight against them. It's just a very, competitive conference, and for him to not have that much help, it's going to be hard for him to come out the East at all, or at least make it to even the conference finals. And then number 6, you have the Atlanta Hawks. Now, this is a really great team. The coach, Mike Budenholzer, he is a disciple of Greg Popovich. And just, anytime somebody who is, an associate, or at least a student of Greg Popovich, comes to coach his own team, they generally have success. Now, this is not the same Atlanta team from, 2 or 3 years ago that put up, a crazy 60-something wins. That's definitely not them. The second they traded Kyle Korver to the Cavs, that's pretty much, RIP. That was pretty much the end of an era right there when they traded away Kyle Korver. But still, they have some good players. Paul Millsap, he is a NBA star, very underrated player. Dwight Howard still able to put up some very productive seasons, despite what people may think. And they're led by, Dennis Schroeder. Now, he's great. He's a good player in spurts, but it's gonna be hard for him to, carry that offense. Not even carry the offense, but orchestrate, I should say. It's gonna be hard for him to orchestrate that offense, and just do it to a playoff level caliber. That's why I think they should have kept Jeff Teague in the offseason. He had a better offensive game, and although he wasn't the passer Schroeder is, he was definitely a way better, player overall. Now, the strengths is probably their big play. Paul Millsap, a star. Dwight Howard, still a very good player, not a star, but he's still an impact player night in and night out. Just the cohesiveness of that unit as a whole will probably help them, to the first or second round. And, probably going to lose in the second round just to a higher seeded team, just more talented team. But that's still good, still something to build from. And that brings me to my number 7 team, the Chicago Bulls. Now, this team, when the season first started, you saw everybody and their mama thought that they were going to challenge the Cavs in the conference finals and maybe just stop LeBron from going to his 7th straight final appearance. Now, times have changed. They traded away Doug McDermott. They got back Cameron Payne. They lost Dwayne Wade for the season with a broken elbow. That's a tough shot to a roster that's already not filled with that many impact players. They're a great team. Jimmy Butler, he can carry that team, to at least pass the first round, maybe. But they don't have the offense, the shooting, to be able to keep up with them. Nikolai Mirotic, he's trying to, become a bigger player, play a bigger role in that offense. But he's simply just not there yet. Give him a couple more years. He can become maybe a poor man's Dirk or something like that. A very poor man's Dirk. Let me not hype him up now. But still, it's a very talented team with some very promising building blocks. But still, they're not going to go very far in the East at all. Now, my number 8 seed, Miami. They were really hot, but have since cooled down. They've won their last 5 out of 10 games. And, they have the powerful play of Deion Waiters. He's really starting to come into his own. He's far past his days, foolishness with OKC Thunder and, the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's definitely coming into his prime. And, Goran Dragic, he's definitely a great guard. Definitely a 1-2 punch to be reckoned with in the East. And if a team's not careful, they might be taken to 7 games or possibly beaten by this Miami Heat team. Now, they don't have much. They have a lot of no-names on their roster, but that's no slight against them. They still come together. They still have Hassan Whiteside in the middle, James Johnson. They're still coming to play every night. But it's going to be hard for them to come out the East, or at least come out the second round and and potentially face the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. So my prediction for them would probably be to be either swept in the first round, maybe take a team to 6 games, but no further than that, really. Nothing further than that realistically. So yeah, that's my preview for the NBA playoffs, on the Eastern Conference. I'll definitely have a video coming for the Western Conference, and I'm also going to be making a video for the MVP race. And if you guys liked and subscribed, and if you guys enjoyed this video and want me to make more, just make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.